Won't you say something? No running. You got me thinking about the state I'm in.
Oh my, you can be flat out through corners.
Next to me is the 992 GT3 RS, and it's an absolute masterpiece. Perhaps the most aggressive 911 ever created, the 3RS is all about one thing: aero. At the rear of the GT3 RS is a 4-liter flat six that makes 518 horsepower and 343 pound-feet of torque. Now, that's only 16 horsepower more than the GT3, but that's thanks to new heads and cams. Now, to the layman, 16 horsepower doesn't sound like a bunch, but somehow the new 3RS is able to lap the Nürburgring over 10 seconds faster than the GT3. And it's 3 seconds faster than the GT2 RS, which has 172 more horsepower. How is that possible? Downforce and aerodynamics. The new 3RS has the most advanced aerodynamics ever fitted on a road-going Porsche. Now, while it crescendos to the end with a massive rear wing, the aero starts at the front. Everything about the 3RS's design is done in the name of performance. Instead of your traditional 911 that has a radiator here and here, they've lifted the central radiator from the GT3 Cup car and put it right here. It eliminates the trunk completely, but it allows for extra space right here and here for electronically controlled flaps that activate and control downforce and aerodynamics. Now, not only do the fins in the center of the car's hood look really cool, they're of course functional as well. They spread hot air down the sides of the vehicle and allow cool, dense air to go over the top of the car and under the rear wing, as well as into the engine. Now, we've actually got fins on the roof itself to make sure that any excess hot air goes away from the engine bay so you can get that nice, cool, dense air. When the front flaps are in their open position, it channels airflow through and behind the wheels and down the side of the car. This side blade and that allows for 70% more airflow down the side of the car. We've also got these massive fender vents that allow all the turbulent air in the wheel well to escape to decrease that lifting force. The amazing part is, despite the fact that everything is done in the name of function and aerodynamics, it comes together in one of the coolest, if not the coolest looking 911s ever made. I also like the fact that these doors aren't shared with the normal 911, so you have a conventional style door handle instead of the kind of strange flip up. If you opt for the Y-Sock package, you'll save 48 pounds thanks to a carbon fiber hood, a carbon fiber roof, a host of other upgrades. You'll also get lightweight magnesium wheels, which are very, very cool. And in the interior, there's a host of goodies, embroidery, but it also has magnesium magnetic paddles that feel absolutely incredible. At the rear of the GT3 RS is arguably the coolest wing ever to be fitted on a road car, save for maybe the McLaren Senna. But sorry, McLaren, there's a new king of downforce. The GT3 RS produces 1,892 pounds of downforce. That's double that of the previous GT3 RS, triple that of the GT3, and 100 pounds more than the Senna. But with more downforce comes more drag. However, Porsche, for the first time ever, has put DRS in a road car. This is a technology lifted directly from Formula One, drag reduction system. Effectively, there's a flap in here that's hydraulically controlled that can tilt upwards or downwards to either stall or increase downforce. And it works in conjunction with the electronically controlled flaps in the front of the car to make it slippery when you need to accelerate. The magic continues on the inside of the GT3 RS. Now, these aren't the carbon buckets, but they're incredibly comfortable. We've got Y-Sock embroidered on the seat backs right there. Everything is super nice to the touch. We've got a strap instead of a door handle to save weight, and the handle that you actually pull the door closed is made of carbon fiber. But the coolest part of the car's interior is this steering wheel. Not only does it feel amazing in your hands, and it has these magnesium paddles on the back that feel insane to pull because they're magnetically actuated. It actually is one of the best feeling paddles I have ever experienced. Of course, the only transmission available in the RS is a 7-speed PDK. On the wheel itself, we have the highest level of adjustment to the driving dynamics I have ever seen in a car. It's F1 inspired, and you can control almost everything. Instead of having one knob that you can control the drive mode, this has 4. So of course, we do have the drive mode select knob. You can go from normal, sport to track. But once you're in track, it unlocks the other 3 knobs. So what do? Well, the first one says PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management. If you click the little button in the center of it, you can individually control the compression and the rebound for the front and rear suspension. +4 and -4 for both the compression and the rebound. Now, if we click the PTV button, or Porsche Torque Vectoring, you can control the rear differential, both the coast and the power. The coast is basically how the car handles at turn-in, and power is how the car handles coming out of a turn. Then we have ESC and TC, of course, stability control and traction control. All right, guys, behind the wheel of the new GT3 RS, and I've been waiting for this moment for quite some time now. We put the car in track mode. And we are out in Angeles Crest National Forest. Oh my God, the levels of grip this thing gets is absolutely ridiculous. We've got a motorcyclist behind us. Oh my God, the downforce. You can really feel that massive rear wing, how much extra stability it provides. This thing actually feels like it's on slicks around the corners. Holy crap. I don't think I've ever felt a road car with this level of cornering grip. Genuinely, this is ridiculous. And surprisingly, you'd think it would ride extremely harsh given its track focus capability, but the suspension does such a good job of mitigating bumps. Oh my God, this is truly insane. Oh, that flat six sounds so darn good. And these magnetic paddles, I have never felt a paddle actuation in a road car that feels that satisfying. The Wysock package upgrade actually makes an enormous difference. It feels like you're flicking paddles on a legitimate race car. Holy crap, this thing is unbelievable. Now we've got some traffic, so let's flip it into normal mode right now. We'll go back into automatic for the transmission and see what this thing would be like to drive around town. And honestly, with these comfort seats, it's really comfortable. There's so much visibility, even with the massive rear wing. The wing is so high up that you can actually see behind you through and underneath that rear wing. So it isn't a problem whatsoever. And honestly, at low speeds, it just feels like a normal 911. It isn't a big deal to drive whatsoever. You'd have no idea that this thing can run a 643 at the Nürburgring. It's just unbelievable. Oh my God, back into track mode. The levels of grip this thing has is insane. I truly have never felt a road car with this level of grip. You can actually feel the downforce, and it feels so much more capable on the road than the GT3. It honestly feels like almost an entirely different car. That 9,000 RPM red line absolutely screaming. Short of a Senna, and even a Senna, this thing feels so capable in the canyons. It actually is unbelievable. It doesn't feel like it should be this good, but it is. And that 9,000 RPM red line just absolutely wailing. Oh my God, I'm in love with this thing. Wow. It does feel like the steering has a little bit less communication than 3RSs of the past, particularly compared to something like a 997 generation GT3 RS. But the confidence you get behind the wheel and the speed at which you can enter and exit corners is unlike any other GT3 RS that has ever been made by a long margin. Double the downforce from the previous generation, and you can really, really feel it. It truly is remarkable. There's just so much stability. And surprisingly, even in track mode, the suspension is pretty compliant. It rides over bumps well. I'm surprised, actually. I would have thought it'd be more harsh than this, and honestly, the previous generation GT3 RS was more harsh, but this has such a good blend of absolutely zero body roll. There is no body roll whatsoever. But at the same time, actually feeling somewhat comfortable. I do think you could actually daily drive this GT3 RS, which is not something you could have said about any other generation 3 RS. Now we're in normal mode. We're gonna put it into automatic, just cruise around now. Honestly, this is such a more comfortable car than I was expecting, and it's easier to drive than I was expecting. It just feels like a normal 911 when you're in normal mode in automatic. The visibility is fantastic. In fact, with that rear wing, it's so high off the ground that your rear view mirror sees right underneath the wing. It's not blocking your visibility whatsoever, which is really nice. And it's an airy, open cabin. Anyone could drive this car. And honestly, it's got so much grip and so much downforce, and because it doesn't have 800, 900, 1,000 horsepower, anyone could track this car. And it would be one of the best track cars you could possibly imagine, if not the best, honestly. These are super, super reliable. People have driven 100,000 miles on the track in last-gen GT3 RSs, and this is no different. You really could drive this and beat the hell out of it on the track, and it's going to work over and over again. You're not gonna have to go through transmissions, you're not gonna have to go through engines. It just works when you want it to, and especially when you need it to. And you could take it and go get groceries. Now, obviously, from a practicality standpoint, you don't have a trunk in the front, but you do have a bunch of space back here, particularly if you don't get a roll cage. You've got all the space in the world in the back seats for whatever type of stuff you want to put. You could even probably put a set of golf clubs back there if you really wanted to. And obviously, if you're alone in the car, you can put a bunch of stuff in the passenger seat as well. Man, I'm in love with this. I think we need to do a launch control. Let's go ahead and put it into track mode, manual mode. All right, launch control, foot on the brake, foot on the gas. Oh my God. This actually is unbelievable. This is the most confidence-inspiring sports car I have ever driven, bar none. The new GT2 or GT2 RS is going to be so ridiculous, it's actually going to be frightening. This already is ridiculously fast with quote-unquote only, there's a GT4 RS just past us, with only 518 horsepower. So imagine with 700 or 800 horsepower on this platform, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. With that, a couple more pulls, a couple more corners. I gotta give a huge shout out to the Giuliano, an awesome clothing brand, and the owner of this car for making this review possible. It's actually in collaboration with my friend, Mr. Car Sounds. They've got some really cool shirts, genuinely, I'm not just saying that. So I've got a link in the description below, both to their website as well as to their Instagram, so make sure to follow the Giuliano for making this possible, because honestly, I've wanted to drive a GT3 RS for a very long time, and it's supporting my friends and a really cool clothing brand, honestly. Well, guys, what a car. I'm in love with the GT3 RS. Put an absolute smile on my face the entire time, and it is just one wicked machine. All right, guys, see you next video.